Hi again guys, I'm back with another unboxing. This has come from icebay.com. It's the first time I've used that website. It's taken a while to get here. Today is the 28th of December. I ordered these puzzles on the 27th of November, so they have taken a while to get here. But there's a couple of things to take into consideration. Of course, it's the Christmas rush, so obviously parcels are going to take longer to transport because there's going to be a lot more of them, and they use Singapore shipping. Their shipping is free and it comes through the Singapore mail, and I must admit every other item I've had through Singapore mail has took quite a long time to arrive. So having said that, they're a lot cheaper on these puzzles than I've seen elsewhere, and it has arrived. So, waiting a couple of weeks for a good price puzzle is not unreasonable as far as I'm concerned. However, this box is. Good grief. What's going on here? Right. So I've got 3 puzzles in here. So here's the first one. This is probably the one I'm most excited about in this box anyway. As you can see, the box says Dayan Gem 6, which isn't actually released yet, but as you can see, it actually says Wheels of Wisdom 2, so you can probably guess which one this actually is. You've got pictures of the Dayan Gem 6, which is still to be released, which, if I understand correctly, I'm looking at the images of it and stuff, I believe the Dayan Gem 6 and the Wheels of Wisdom are actually just shape mods of each other. I think there might be some extra pieces on the Gem 6 without actually checking completely, but if you look, you can see that you've got, say, that red face there, that's got kind of an octagonal symmetry on the face, and there's 6 of those on the puzzle. If you kind of look at the positions of the 2 you can see, and the ones at the sides that you can't actually see, but you can see where they're positioned. So you can have another one on the bottom, another one on the back, and you've got that same octagonal symmetry on the circle pieces. So I think they're going to be very, very similar puzzles to solve, and basically going to have exactly the same mechanism, I think. Without actually looking at all the pieces, I don't know if the Gem 6 has got any extra pieces, but yeah. Alright then, so let's get into the box and get this thing out and have a look at it. Wow, look at this thing. The very first time I saw this, and I'm sure I wasn't alone, I thought my immediate impression was, wow, that is just gorgeous. It really is. You might have seen my Smaz time machine unboxing recently, and this inspired me to get that. I've wanted the time machine for quite some time, but the similarity with the way they look to each other sort of made me decide to get both of them as I was getting one of them. But yeah, that is stunning. I'm a bit concerned about the small triangles. I know other people have had trouble with them coming off. All mine are actually attached and well positioned at the moment, it seems. Hopefully they will stay in place. If not, they'll need to be super glued back on, obviously. That white triangle there is positioned quite badly. Likewise that green one, and a couple of the orange ones, so they're a bit disappointing. The corners of the cube section, the stickers on there are a bit haphazard. I'll have to see if I can fix those. Otherwise, the sticker placement looks quite good, which, considering how small they are and how fiddly they probably are to apply, is not too bad for a mass-produced puzzle, and it comes already stickered. Yeah, that's quite good. Standard red, white, blue colour scheme. Alright then, let's see how this thing moves. Okay, that turns alright. It's a little bit catchy. It feels like there might be a bit of flash to wear off during breaking in. I'm not sure I'd want to disassemble this to peel any flash off, but nope, that's obviously catching. And what happened there is that turned slightly as I was turning and it pulled the piece apart. But yeah, I've heard other people say that these things are really tight, you need a jam jar grip to turn it, but as you can see, I'm not really having much trouble with them. They're not stiff. They're slightly catchy, but you know, there's a lot of small pieces there, so that's to be expected to some extent. Obviously, you can't just turn finger trick it or anything. You're just going to push the pieces apart because there's so much of them and they're going to move. But it's not like I'm going to have it to grip it really hard, which I was concerned about after having seen other videos, because, as I've mentioned in other videos, I've got some joint pain in my hands from previous health problems. So if I had to grip it hard constantly, it would actually become quite painful for me. Now, each of these wheels, as I'm turning them the first few times, you can feel some braking in taking place. After the first few turns, you can feel the difference immediately, so that bodes well. I think the orange one's the only one I haven't turned so far, and I'm pulling the white one apart. Now, it's probably the worst turning side, actually, out of all of them, but again, there's some catching, but yeah, straight away, again, I can feel that it's starting to break in by turning it backwards and forwards. So it's going to need a little breaking in. Well, let's try the cube style turns. That turns really well, actually. As to that, again, you can feel the very first turn, you can feel it improve as it goes around. It starts off slightly catchy and immediately something wears and it breaks in slightly. So that's happening all the way around, and again there. But yeah, once that first turn is made, the turning of that is really good, actually. Yep, I'm very happy with that. That really does turn well. Try this way. I'm not sure which ways I have done and which I haven't now. No, that's a new one. Yeah, that turns very well, actually, considering the complexity of the puzzle and how many tiny little parts you've got. I think this turns really well. Like I say, I think it's to be expected that there's going to be some catchiness, because it's a complex puzzle and there's a lot of small pieces, so you're going to have to be careful. You're not going to be speed solving this thing anyway. Now, if you haven't noticed so far, if you weren't already aware, what happens is these circle faces, that's what I call them, wheels. These wheels can turn 45 degrees rather than the usual 90 degrees of puzzles like this, so they mix up in a new way, really, compared to other puzzles we've probably solved. So it's going to be interesting to see how difficult or otherwise this is going to be to solve. I really don't know. I know how I'm going to approach it. I don't know whether it will work. I think it's going to be relatively easy up until the last part, and then I think there might be a bit more difficulty to solve the last two wheels, but before that I don't expect too much difficulty, to be honest, but we'll soon see. But yeah, let's get this thing scrambled and ready to be solved. And see what it looks like in its scrambled state. The thing is, I'm actually almost automatically turning it 90 degrees, because that's generally what you do. I'm having to get my head around only turning faces 45 degrees, not 90. But yeah, you do have to be a bit careful about how you line things up, but that's to be expected on a puzzle like this with so many moving parts and so many tiny pieces. Wow, this thing looks a mess already. I love it. But yeah, the turning of it, there's no problem with it whatsoever. As I say, you just have to make sure things are lined up. It's not like you're having to spend ages fiddling with it to get it to turn or anything, so there's no problem with this puzzle whatsoever as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, now I'm just trying to make sure that everything is separated from pieces it belongs to. Now obviously it's not going to be entirely possible because there's so many pieces of each colour and only 6 colours. You're not going to be able to get everything off of a face with of all the other pieces of the same colour. So you know, it's not perhaps going to be, it's always going to perhaps look like it's not entirely scrambled, but I don't believe that's the case. I mean, I think I'm pretty happy with that right now, to be honest. All the small triangles seem to have moved, all the larger pieces have moved away to some extent, so yeah, I think I'm going to call that scrambled. Alright then guys, I will go away and give it an attempt at solving, and I'll get back to you with my thoughts after I've done so. Hi again guys, I'm back as you can see with the resolved Wheels of Wisdom. It wasn't too difficult. It's taken me probably about 3/4 of an hour, I think. I didn't actually time it, but about 3/4 of an hour, I think, from the first scramble to being fully solved. I was pretty much right about how to go about it and what the difficult part would be, which is the final 2 circle faces, the final 2 wheels, the trickiest part to solve. Took me a little bit of trial and error. I need to solve it a few more times to get a good handle on exactly what I need to do where. Yeah, there was a fair bit of just trial and error for seeing what I could do to get the pieces in. But then suddenly a couple of ideas fell into place just right at the end, and then yes, that's what I need to do, and yeah, that solved it. So yeah, there's a nice little learning curve with it. Even from the very start, building up the wheels. It's not entirely obvious the best way to go about it to begin with. It took me a little bit to figure out exactly how I go about building them up. Not horrendously difficult or anything, just a little bit of figuring out which pieces you need to match up in which order, sort of thing, as much as anything else, which pieces you do first. But yeah, a very fun puzzle. It's definitely breaking in nicely. There's still a little bit of catchiness on some of the wheel turns, but I'm not entirely sure that will ever go away, simply because, as I said earlier, that there's a lot of small pieces. I mean, each wheel has got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 20 pieces, not including the centre, on each wheel. So you know, there's a lot of small pieces, and those triangular pieces are very tiny. So a little bit catching here and there is not the end of the world. It does turn very well, generally speaking. I didn't experience any serious lock-up issues or anything close to a pop or anything like that in the solve. And you can actually I'd finger trick these 3x3 cube layers now, which is quite impressive, I think, for such a complex puzzle. I mean, it's not entirely, it's not like you're doing it with a speed cube. Let's be straight about that. But you know, it does turn very well. I'm very impressed with the quality of this puzzle, and it's going to be a great one to show people. Actually, people are just going to be marvelling at the complexity of this puzzle, I think, non-cubers. So yeah, it's a fun puzzle, looks great, turns well. What more can you ask for? It's not horrendously difficult, but it's not certainly not trivially easy either. So yeah, I definitely recommend this puzzle. It is on the more expensive side. There's no two ways about that, as far as puzzles go. But yeah, given the complexities, it's very weighty, and I can't imagine how long it takes the factory employees to assemble each one of these. So you can understand that, I think, with this puzzle, with the complexity and the number of pieces, it is going to be a time-consuming thing for the manufacturers to make. So yeah, definitely recommend this puzzle. It's fun, it turns well, it's good quality, and it's a bit of a challenge. So yeah. Alright then guys, that's very much it for this video. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care now. Bye.